What's going on, everyone? Talon here, and welcome to another account progression video. Alright, so it's time to get another tier 2, and it's finally time to bring Spider-Man to tier 2. So he was actually the first character I got in the game, or the character that I chose for my hero advancement when I very first started playing the game. So he was my first 6-star, and I've had his gears at 20 for a very long time now. I've just been putting it off because he didn't have the best tier 2 and he just wasn't really strong for a while there. But now that he has this new uniform and he has his rework, Spider-Man is actually really powerful now. Especially the uniform really helps that out with the 4th skill, but mainly it's going to be the rework that he had, which basically gives all of his skills an iframe, or at least with this uniform, all of his skills have an iframe. And I believe with any of his uniforms, actually, they all have an iframe except for the 4th skill, which is pretty nice because that's extremely hard to deal with, especially in PvP type scenarios. And it just makes him really easy also to play for World Boss and Shadowlands, just because you're going to be constantly iframing, so they're not going to know what to do. So yeah, let's take a look at him then before we tier 2 him. So here we have physical attack or all attack, we have all defense, we have HP, and then we have ignore defense. So you actually, at least for me here, you don't need to put skill cooldown on this last gear, which is really nice because he does have quite a bit of native skill cooldown, so you're generally going to be able to get to your 36% that you need without having to roll any skill cooldown here, and without using any Urus as well. Because if we go to the details here, as you can see, I'm at 38% for my skill cooldown, which is right where I want it to be. But I should also mention that for my ISO 8 set, I do have Hawk's Eye, so I am getting a 6.5% bonus right here to my skill cooldown. So if you do want to use like a few slots of skill cooldown on the 4th gear, or use a few Urus for it, you can go with a more offensive set like Overdrive or Power the Angry Hulk, because then you get an extra ISO in there that is attack based instead of defense based. But I think any attack based ISO 8 set will suit him just fine. And then if we go ahead and look at the Obelisk here, don't really have anything special on him right now. I haven't really tried to roll for an Obelisk for him yet. Originally I just had a 3-star? No, probably only a 2-star Obelisk on him, and it was just a dual dodge Obelisk to get him to max dodge. So I tried to just roll that Obelisk that I was already equipped on him, and so far I have not been very lucky with it. Of course, the immune to guard break is nice, and I do like having that extra dodge there because it does get me to the cap. I am actually 21% away from cap without the Obelisk here. So I do have like 2% extra dodge here, but that's mainly because the uniform does give you 25% dodge, which is really nice. So that makes it extremely easy to hit the cap on your dodge, because as you can see, I'm at 75%. So we have 57% here from just all the gear, and then we have 6% from the ISO, and then of course I do get a little bit from my cards as well, so that does take into account here. Alright, so that's a look at the gear and the ISO. So here's his skills. Nothing really changed with the skills with the uniform in terms of text. Of course, he does have webbing now on his 4th skill, but besides that, everything is pretty much the same, with the exception that the 2nd skill is now a full iframe, and the 5th skill is now also an iframe, which is very nice. So he's really hard to deal with. So now let's go ahead and take a look at his passive here, or his tier 2. So his tier 2 increases the webbing duration by 2 seconds and gives him 25% guaranteed dodge. So guaranteed dodge and just the regular dodge that I have here from the Obelisk and gear is going to be different, so they are not going to stack. So it doesn't matter that I have 75% or the max for the regular dodge on the profile for the details page, because this is not going to be affected by that. So it doesn't matter if you have to cap there, it's not going to, you're not going to like waste 25% basically. Alright, so now that we've gone over a little bit about Spider-Man there, let's go ahead and finally get him to tier 2. So we have enough materials to do him naturally, which is fine because I'm saving my tickets, of course, for the X-Men. So let's go ahead and advance him. Alright, there we go. Spider-Man is now finally at tier 2. Great responsibility. Alright, let's go ahead and share that so they can see that I finally decided to work on my Spider-Man. And what do we got here? Web Warrior. Alright, so now he's got extra duration on his webbing as well, so that's going to make him even more of a nightmare in PvP. So definitely a very strong character for that. So if you're going to be using him mainly for PvP, of course for the Obelisk here, you're going to want to have something with invincibility on it. Preferably dodge and invincibility so you can cap out your dodge, because that is pretty much the way you want to go with Spider-Man. I think you really want to build him towards dodge, especially since he has so much natively. You just kind of want to build upon that, and that will really help the character out. And immune to guard break, of course, is nice as well. So if you can get immune to guard break, dodge, and invincibility, I think that'd probably be the perfect Obelisk for him. But besides that, I would probably just go with dodge and invincibility, because he does have a lot of iframes on his skills, and they do cast quite quickly, so he doesn't probably need the immune to guard break, but it is going to, of course, be helpful. Alright, so now that we have him tier 2'd, let's just go ahead and try him out real fast. Alright, so here we are at today's world boss. We have Proxima, so we're going to go ahead and use this team here, and we're going to go ahead and just use Black Cat's leadership for the all speed. Spider-Man's already capped out on dodge, so I don't necessarily need his leadership. And then we get a lot of bonuses here with Silk and Black Cat. So we have Cat's Vengeance, all attack, max HP, crit rate. We have Just Business, which is all attack, ignore defense. We have Rooftop Romance, which is all attack and dodge. And then we have the Instinctive Attraction, which is critical damage and ignore defense. So let's go ahead and bring this team in here and just go ahead and have Spider-Man face off against Proxima. Of course, no strikers, as we're going to do with all our tier 2 characters. Alright, so let's go ahead and test out Spidey's damage here without any strikers or a damaged leadership and see how he does, because he did get a reduction in damage for his 5th skill, but with the uniform, of course, now that his 4th skill does all of this crazy stuff, it's going to be extra damage there. Alright, so far so good. He's just chaining together his iframes, basically. Oh, so I accidentally canceled out the 4th skill there. You do have to let this completely go until you see the first, basically, piece of debris start swinging through the air there on the webs, before you can select another skill. But as you can see, he just has tons of iframes, so it's just really hard to hit him. And then on top of that, having all of this dodge, even when he is able to, or even when they do get an attack in, a lot of times he's just going to dodge it. So makes him a pretty easy world boss clear, just because you can hit like any of his skills and you're going to have an iframe, so you don't really have to worry about saving your iframe skill for later or that kind of thing, or waiting for when the boss is doing an attack that you really need to avoid or something like that. So Spider-Man is definitely looking extremely powerful now, so I'm really happy to add him to my tier 2 collection. I'm going to be trying him out, of course, in Alliance Conquest and PvP modes. I might even put the Invincibility Obelisk on him if I roll a good one with dodge, because I do want to keep his dodge capped out. That's kind of where I want my Spider-Man to be. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this look at Spider-Man, and of course I will catch you in the next one.